Greetings and salutations, everybody, and welcome to another fountain pen review. This is going to be a review of the Sheaffer Agio as we see it here. I know I'm claiming to do some not currently available pens. The Sheaffer Agio is technically still available from Sheaffer, but they certainly don't make this bright yellow anymore, and for that matter, it's getting a bit hard to find in that I don't see it at a lot of actual stores. So I'm claiming that it's going to fit. Okay, this is a very thin pen compared for fountain pens. It's about the same size as a standard, I guess, ballpoint or roller ball would be for fountain pens. That's fairly thin. It's a metal body, metal cap. It's got this gold-colored trim. The cap has that little cutout and the white dot. There you go. That's a good shot of the white dot, I think. Whether the gold trim really goes with the yellow lacquer body is not for me to say, I suppose. Gold at the top, gold at the back. Both of those have a slight little dimple that points outward, so I guess an anti-dimple, whatever you want to call that, on each end. Since it is a Sheaffer, then this is going to be a proprietary cartridge or converter. So I have a proprietary cartridge in there at the moment. So that's going to look like every other Sheaffer cartridge, I guess. The nib is gold colored. It might even be gold plated. It doesn't really say that on the nib anywhere, but you never know. You can almost see, I think, the decoration on the nib. I suppose I could draw it. I have a pen in my hand. It looks kind of like that. But that's all the decoration there is on the nib. It's a rather plain nib. It says Sheaffer and M. And a breather hole there. A few fins on the feed that you can see there. And you can also see that the back of the nib has this sort of texture on it. And if I sort of, as I spin it around, I'm trying to hold it against the cap so you can kind of see that patterning a bit. There are these arches, I guess. So the top of the section is just smooth black plastic. The back of the bottom of the section has these patterns on it, these arches that get, well, they're arches, so they get bigger in the middle and smaller on the sides. That's how arches tend to work. They're not sharp. They're not very deep, as you can tell if you as you look at the outline of the section there. And as you're holding the pen, obviously your bottom finger, your middle finger, if you've got a standard grip like I do, I guess, is going to be right on those ridges, but they're not sharp. They're not, I'm holding it now. I can't even tell where the ridges are just because, they're not that sharp or deep, I guess is the word I want. So they are not, it's not uncomfortable to hold. It is a bit skinny, especially I got rather large hands. So I tend to hold this one sort of over like this, a bit more than I would in a sort of standard 3-point, because if I try to do 3-point, all my fingers are going to touch. And that feels like you're just squeezing down on the pen. So this one I tend to hold a bit more like so. It is a bit narrow, so if I write with it for a really long time, I do feel like I've been squeezing on something for a while. And for that matter, if I do write on it right here, this part of my finger will get that little patterning in it too. But the perils of using a pen, I guess. That's how that is. Now this nib, as I said, it's a standard medium. I've not seen lots of bad reviews about this nib in other people's pens. Mine came very scratchy. It's gotten a bit better as time goes on, and I didn't use it very often because it is a rather scratchy nib. I tend to get it would be at the end of my rotation all the time, so it may not have worn down as quickly as it might have if I used it more regularly. It has worn down a bit. It's still a bit scratchy, especially on diagonals. But the flow is okay, as we'll see here. And otherwise, we should be all right. So let's do a little bit of writing here. this is a Sheaffer Agio, and this particular one is the bright yellow. I should mention this thing does post. You know, it doesn't click to post, and for some reason I'm having troubles doing it today. It doesn't click to post, but it is stay on there very securely, so you don't have to worry about that coming off. And with it posted, it's a fairly decent length. You know, it's not bad. The length of this pen isn't really abnormally long or short. It is just a bit skinny. And the ink I have in here is a Sheaffer green cartridge. Just as a note, if you're a pen store person watching this show, you really should stock Sheaffer green cartridges, because I would like to buy them from you instead of having to hunt down some every time I need some. I rather like this green. It's a nice dark green, but for some reason people only seem to stock blue and black from Sheaffer, because, well, I don't know why. Okay, some writing. After I say that there's no flow issues, I get a hard start, but that's pretty unusual for this pen. In the previous version of this video, I tried to set the microphone next to the paper so you can hear sort of the scratchy bits, but it didn't work very well, so you just have to take my word for it that especially as you cross the T's or make a sort of diagonal upstroke, you do feel like you're scratching off the paper. I don't see any, paper fibers in the nib. It's not like I'm ripping holes in the paper, but you just do get that sort of unpleasant "I'm doing something to the paper" feel. It lays down a fairly consistent line. You can color pretty well, and I know this is cheap paper, so the drying time is going to be a lot faster than you might see on fancier paper, but it is fairly wet, so no flow issues. Like I said, just some scratchy bits. It feels like a fairly soft nib. I'm not very good with line variation type stuff. You can maybe see that that's a bit bigger than that. And I'm completely rubbish at actually trying to do it when making letter shapey things. But you can see maybe I managed to squeeze out a bit more of that L there. But I really feel if you have somebody who is good at it and confident about it, you could probably do quite a bit of line variation stuff with that. All right, I think that's it. The Sheaffer Agio. As I said, it's a bit small, but it's not a bad pen, or at least it wouldn't be a bad pen if the nib was a little bit better. But, common wisdom says that the nibs on these are pretty good normally, so I'll take it that I just got a bad one. They're available from Sheaffer, not in this bright yellow. I think they've got gold and black and silver, and there are some other colors that were made. You can find those if you browse hard enough. I suppose somewhere somebody might still be selling this yellow one, although I wouldn't know why. Alright, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.